Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to TRS Live with your hosts Brian Keller, Matt Trotz, and Zach Huffman, presented by The Real Shot.
I'ma do this here forever.
EQ.
Forever.
Triune.
Forever.
Yeah.
Forever. I'ma do this here forever.
Let's go.
All you haters better get comfy. This the day you've been waiting on. Y'all road is finna get bumpy. This the track I'm making my statement on. I ain't going nowhere. This the place that I'm making home. I'll do this shit forever. Hit the gas and I'm taking off. Ow. I was born with passion. My job is never ending and my hustle's everlasting. No matter what, I'm gon' ball, even with my back to the wall. And the best part is that this is the beginning. I'ma do this here forever. Forever.
Go.
What's going on, everybody?
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Adam.
How's everybody today? It's beautiful outside to start the day. We had a big rainstorm out by me yesterday.
Nate's watching. Nate Hahn's watching.
Hey, Nate.
You better just be eating breakfast, Nate. Just gonna leave it at that.
You better be.
Better just be eating breakfast.
The inside story behind that is he informed us that his phone is waterproof, so he listens to the show while he showers.
Oh, gee. That's more than we need to know.
That's more than we need to
I
know.
felt. That's the exact same thing I said.
Happy Wednesday. Nate Hahn may or may not be in the shower this morning.
Morning, Tony.
So,
All right.
cool. Well, we're coming off a real busy weekend. A lot of big fishing going on. Fish are being caught all over the place. I actually caught one of my best bass in a long time off a shore this weekend. So, I know there's a lot of largies, a lot of smallies sitting on beds, getting into pre-spawn, post-spawn. I mean, we're seeing a lot of everything right now. So, we're joined with the second Wisco winner. We have Gary sitting here. You went up to Sturgeon Bay this last Sunday, and you put a clinic on, right?
I wouldn't say a clinic, but I did well.
You did well.
I didn't catch a lot of fish, but the ones I caught were the quality ones, and that's what you need to take the win on a
Take the
tournament.
win, yep. And it was what I thought was really cool is not only did you win it, but you also caught big bass too.
I did. I was
That
able.
usually helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, it usually helps. But I mean, how many? We're lucky enough to have you on here, first of all. But then we also have the big bass winner too on here. So that was.
He's also leader of the Angler of
I
the Year,
saw
too.
that. Yeah, you're right here, right behind, and then the last guy, Brandon Meyer, is right in your.
Yes, Brandon's right on my heels.
Right on your heels, and we're not far away. We go to Green Lake here in what, a week?
Yep.
Yes.
I mean, Brian, you were out to Green not too long ago, and you said, first of all, good news for everybody, cell phone reception
Yeah,
coverage.
cell phone coverage is awesome there, so we'll be able to bring the on-the-water live stuff back, which
Yep,
will be awesome.
which,
Nice.
I mean, unfortunately, the Sturgeon Bay one didn't work out. We were kind of bummed. I think everybody was kind of bummed. I mean, we had some anglers messaging me saying, oh, I need a cameraman. And so we're like, well, unfortunately, but we did cover the weigh-in, and that's a good, good important thing. But Green Lake right now is 2 thumbs up, and we're ready to roll for that
I
one.
caught some monsters on Tuesday last week, too.
And
Or it
you
was
s-
Wednesday last
And you
week.
saw a monster, too.
Yeah, that was a muskie, but
Right.
I saw this 50-inch muskie cruising around my boat.
Wow.
Doing circles.
That's a good one.
And I'm excited for that one because that's a real clear lake.
It is.
I mean, and it's deep, it's cold in some areas, and we should be hitting it just about right. And it's Father's Day weekend, too, so, the dads will be hopefully joining us and watching everything and cheering everybody on. So let's get right into Sunday. Now, we've coming off a bunch of cold fronts.
Yes.
Cold front upon cold front upon cold front, and then rain and everything like that. What were conditions like in the morning right away before launch and everything like that?
Well, the sun was bright, but what we had was a hard north wind, which made things a little difficult for a lot of fishermen. Coming out of the mouth of Little Sturgeon, I mean, I've fished up there a lot over the years, and that was probably about the second worst wave action I've seen. I mean, we were dealing with 4 to 5 with a 6 mixed in there every once in a while.
Wow.
So a lot of people, they thought they were going somewhere, but when they got rounded the corner, they changed their mind real quick.
Now, I was not up there, and Phil, for anybody in from where you guys launch, is there like a big seawall then that you're kind of hidden until you get around the seawall or something?
It's like a cove.
There's a cove.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a cove there which protects all the marina that we were taking off out of.
Okay.
So sitting there, you didn't really realize how bad it was. But once you got out past it, all the no wake buoys and then the guide markers to get you out to the main channel, you realized real quick what you were in for.
And so you've been tournament fishing for how many years?
I'm probably pushing a little over 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been doing it for a while.
That's awesome. So, I mean, like you said, for 20 years of tournament fishing, let alone just, how many plus years of just fishing, the second worst conditions you possibly have ever seen, that's insane.
Yes.
And that's what we mostly had was north winds. You said northeast
That's
winds?
what northeast is terrible on the bay.
It is.
That's what. See, the cold front wasn't so bad. So leading up to this tournament, there was some couple big tournaments in Sturgeon Bay.
Yep.
Had huge weights, right? Like just off the chart, 30-pound bags. I mean, just huge weights. Well, when the cold front wasn't air temperature as much as it was wind. When the wind, what happens on the bay is it's real deep out there. All that wind blows all that cold water into those back pockets where these bass are trying to spawn.
Yep.
Drops the water temp, and that's what freaked them all out.
Oh.
Because leading up to this, I don't know how your pre-fishing was, but the guys I was talking to, it was like, holy crap.
It was tough.
The worst
It was
fishing.
a struggle.
Well, it was the worst fishing they had seen up there in years. I mean, I talked to Travis, who took second before. I talked to him. He said, I haven't caught a fish in 3 days. I mean, this was like 3 days before the tournament even, but he obviously figured something out.
He did. A lot of the males had pushed back up onto beds.
Okay.
And I believe that's how he caught most of his fish.
Okay.
I mean, for that area, catching little to no fish, that's pretty unheard of at times.
It's ridiculous. I mean, there's a lot of guys. I know Nick just joined. He was one of them that was like, this is the worst I've ever seen. This is crazy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was really bad.
Wow. So strategy going into it, you pre-fished ahead of time. What kind of things did you keep in mind when you were pre-fishing, knowing the conditions you were rolling into?
Well, I also fished them early tournaments up there in Sturgeon Bay.
Okay.
A lot of people know, but Kyle and I are also team partners.
Oh, okay, cool.
So Kyle and I fished the first Sturgeon Bay tournament. We did fairly well, took second. Then we went into the big Sturgeon Bay tournament. We finished 14th there.
Out of how many boats was that one?
I believe it was like 146.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
And then you had the holiday weekend.
Yep.
And everybody was up there fishing. So I knew them lower bays had took quite a beating.
Yep.
So my strategy was to try to get into some little bit colder water up north where the fish hadn't quite moved in yet.
Okay.
So that's what I focused on. So the holiday weekend, I spent 2 days up there looking for a school of big pre-spawn fish. I did not find them. I got up there, the water temperatures were 46 degrees.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Anywhere from 44.5 to 46 degrees. So they just weren't in yet.
What were they showing in the lower bay? What were temps?
It was pushing like 50, 51 because like you said, we had all the north winds.
Yep.
We had some days where it was warmer, but as soon as the north wind came, they would cool it right back off.
See, and that's back to the run, obviously, in the big waves and whatever. That's the scariest part for a lot of guys is that water temp. You go in, right? You make a bad mistake, and you know what I mean. Bass boats aren't really made for 5-6 footers,
right?
Not, you know what I mean? Like guys know how to ride them, you can, but you go in 45, 46, 49 degree water, you've got a minute before hypothermia sets in.
That is correct.
And that's real shit.
Right.
I mean, a minute.
Yeah,
You're babbling to yourself. There's no saving you. There's no calling anybody. You're screwed, right? I mean, that's the real deal.
It's a real deal. You're right. It's always it's my worst fear, really.
Yeah.
In the spring.
Well, we have all this latest and greatest technology, but still, I mean, the first thing is everybody panics, which we never hope that happens to anybody, but you panic first, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're freezing. And so, okay. So anyways, back to...
Nick just made a comment here. He said practice was bad for catching females. You could go shallow and catch 2-pounders up shallow anywhere you want, but for a tournament guy, 2-pounders don't do you any good. And that's kind of what you were saying. You're like, yep, I know that's not going to happen. Those bays are going to get pounded. I got to find something else.
That was my game plan. You're right.
So
I'm glad to see Nathan said he's just waking up.
yeah, right.
Give him 25 more minutes.
All right, well, that's the show, everybody. I just lost track after that kind of comment.
gotta quit thinking
So
about
we're okay. So pre-fishing, you headed to some colder water,
I did.
trying to find some big females that are just in the staging areas, and you didn't find them.
I did not find them. All I could find was the 3 to 3.5 pound males.
Okay.
I mean, they were fat fish, but they just weren't. I knew in them tournaments up there, you gotta have a 5 pound average or better
Oh,
to have a
man.
chance to win it.
Right.
It's a sad day, I think, when 3-pounders don't really mean anything.
No, they really don't.
Well, even next one, a big green, 3-pounders don't mean anything either.
You're right. Big Green also is a big fish
Really?
factory. Yes.
To me, it's just I just can't imagine. I'm just a shore fisherman. I like to just catch fish, just like a lot of people do. But in a tournament situation, if a 3-pounder doesn't mean much, I mean that's how much effort does it? How do you find bigger fish than 3-pounders? Strategy.
That's the trick, right?
It is the
That's
trick.
the trick.
That's $1 million
That's what
question.
separates the
That's
good
the
guys
winning
from the bad guys.
Right. Okay, so let's fill us in now. So now pre-fishing didn't go as well as you wanted to over the holiday weekend.
Right. So Saturday I got back out and I checked the flats in Sturgeon Bay. And again, the males were up on the beds. I could do 21, 22. I felt comfortable with that there.
Yep.
But again, I knew that wasn't going to do it. So I said, well, to myself, I'm going to run back up north. I got one area that I got to check. The water temperature warmed up a couple degrees during the week.
Yep.
Let me go check it. So I ran up towards Egg Harbor. So I didn't go way up north. I went about halfway up. And there's a little spot that I found years ago, and I ain't fished it in a couple of years. I pulled in there, and my first cast, I caught a 6-pounder. I'm like, okay, is this a fluke, or is this really going to happen?
Slowly start backing out of that spot.
Actually, I made another cast, and I got bit, and I lost it. So I made a couple more casts, nothing. I changed baits. I threw a jerk bait up there, and I caught another 5.5.
Oh, nice.
So they're up here. So I knew there was 2 areas just like that within a mile stretch. I said, okay, this is where I'm going to come. I'm going to start up here tomorrow morning. If it doesn't work out, I'm going to fall back on the bedfish.
On the 3-pound males.
Right. So obviously the first day, I rounded the corner and I seen them waves, and right away I'm guessing to myself, do I do it or do I not? I said, well, if I take my time, I can get up there, and if they're there, I'm going to win this tournament.
So on a normal day when water conditions are good as far as like the waves and everything like that, how far of I don't want to give away secret spots or anything like that, but how long of a boat trip is it to that spot you were going to go to?
On a good day, it's 20 minutes.
On a bad day, it's
an hour and 20 minutes.
Oh, my God.
It's 20 miles.
Okay. But either way, that's insane.
Yes.
Especially in a tournament condition. I mean, you're adding a lot more at stake if you go up there and they're not there.
Right. Yeah, you lose your time. It's 3
you're
hours of your day that you're just driving the boat.
Right.
It was definitely a gamble, but that was the only place I could catch the real big fish.
Yep.
So I've done this long enough to know where if you don't take a chance, you're probably not going to do it. So,
right.
So I took the chance, and it paid off.
It paid off. Right. And then were they on the jerkbait bite then again? Or
Actually, there was some sand spots. Because once that water temperature gets about 50 degrees, you get a green slime on the bottom, so you can't drag a tube. You got to you got to stay off the bottom.
Yep.
Unless you find these sand spots within this chunk rock, and that's what I had there.
Okay.
So I was catching them on the Kitech.
Yep.
And then I was catching them on a tube.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, that schmeckum was the term that Dan Elsner with Get Bits brought in here that day for us, and that was the word of the day during Dan's visit. So you're dragging tubes, you're throwing the Kitechs.
Yes.
And how far into the day did you hook into a good one then?
My third cast, I had a 6.3.
Holy
so
man.
At that point, and I knew they were still there. At that point I slowed down a little bit and focused on what I was doing, and within an hour and a half, I had over 25 pounds.
Wow.
Well, let me ask you this. So pre-fishing, you had the bite on what? Jerkbait. What was the other one on?
Kitech.
On a Kitech.
Swimming a Kitech.
Right, which is pretty common up there.
Yeah, I do something a little different with the Kitech. A lot of people use the 3.3 or the 3.8 fat. I like the skinny one.
Okay.
I like the swing impact because it more resembles the smelt, which is their main forage up there.
Okay.
Until that water temperature gets in the mid-50s, that's what they're eating. They're eating smelt.
Okay.
Once it gets to the mid-50s, it goes to gobies and crawfish. So that's why I chose that.
And does that matter? Is that because that forage base doesn't move in until that water temp is warmer as well, or?
Well, the gobies are out deep and they're in the mud just like the crawfish. And once that water temperature warms up, they rise up.
They rise up. Okay. Okay.
And they start to go shallower.
Okay. Nice. So you're feeling pretty confident in there, and
it helps a lot when your first fish of the day is pushing 7, right? You're at 6.5. That helps.
It does. It does.
And did you stay up there majority of the day then?
I stayed up there for another 3 hours, but I was only able to call one time when I caught that 6.51.
And that was also the big bass.
And that was also the big bass of the tournament.
Awesome.
That's so cool. So now we got that one in. You come in here. You're in line at the weigh-in. You're talking to guys in line. What are consensus? Are there a lot of guys at the struggle bus, or
Everybody was saying how tough it was. So as it's getting closer to me getting up to the scales, I'm like, man, I might have a shot here.
what were a lot of other guys? Were they going to the sight fishing aspect, or
I would say the majority of the guys, because of the weather, I mean, a lot of guys I think planned on going to the northern part of the Door County, but because of the weather, they held back.
okay?
You had the guys with the big walleye boats. I mean, I saw boats going north. I wasn't the only one that went north.
Okay.
But the majority did bed fish in the lower bays.
Okay. So you nice. You're feeling a little bit confident.
Did you when you got done? Did you stay up there all day? Did you come back
No,
early? or did you?
I went back into the flats probably around 11:30,
Okay.
12 o'clock, somewhere in that area.
But you already had pretty much your weight. by then?
I did. I never upgraded after that.
Is that kind of unheard of, not to call up in a situation
Well,
like
once you
that?
get
I mean,
to a
if
certain weight, it's kind of hard, right? Like once you get to
well,
that
yeah.
25-pound plus, it takes a really big fish to kick out a 5-pounder.
Well, that's what I'm
5.5.
saying. Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It gets harder the bigger your weight gets. The call, it's just harder to do that.
Were you seeing a lot of fish too?
Up there, I did not see them because I was making long casts of these sand
Okay,
spots. 'Cause
yep.
I could see the sand spots. I was only fishing in like 5 to 6 feet of water.
Okay.
And I could see the darkness of the chunk rock, but then you could see the light spot of the sand.
Yep.
And you had to throw your bait in the tube. You had to throw there and just leave it sit there, and leave it in that sand spot as long as possible. And then all of a sudden, one would just pick it up, come out of nowhere and just pick it up.
Just pick it right up.
Yes.
The water's so clear, those fish can see.
Right. That's why
pretty
you
key,
got to
I mean.
make long casts. So like, what about for people that are tuning in? I mean, what about a rig setup then? I mean, you got to fish a long fluoro leader or anything like that, or do you tie direct?
Nope. I actually use a Power Pro line with a fluorocarbon leader, and I typically leave about a 4-foot leader.
Okay.
And I typically use about an 8 to 10 pound.
I mean, because in that clear water and those kind of conditions, them fish are getting a lot smarter. They see a lot of baits, right? Am I wrong in saying that?
At that point up there, I don't think they had seen quite a lot of
Okay,
baits
that
just
far,
yet.
but down maybe down in the
that
southern bays.
That was part of why he said he wanted to go north.
Yep.
Because those southern bays.
Yep, we're pounded.
We're just.
They had seen a lot of
They've
lures.
seen everything: live bait under slip bobbers to tubes to kitex.
They've seen everything.
But I mean, the fish you're catching are not 1-year-old fish. I mean, those fish are also educated in a way as well, right?
Yes.
So they've seen.
Yeah, I don't know how smart a fish is year after year. Be interesting.
I often think
That's
of
a
that
whole
way.
nother topic because I've
Really?
had this. Well, I've had this whole conversation with salmon, for instance, right? 4-year-old salmon, you can't catch them the same way today you could 15 years ago.
Right? How is that possible?
Salmon only live 4 years.
Right.
The forage base hasn't changed. Why can't you go out there and pull a Dodger and a Coho Joe and catch a fish? It won't work,
Right.
right? Like,
Did their food base change?
well, it hasn't really. The
That'd be
food
good.
hasn't changed. So, are they somehow genetically passing information along? I don't. Right? Like, I don't know. I mean, it makes you think about it, though, right?
Oh, for sure.
I mean, that fish like a bass, right? Those bass, if that male's in that bed, he's gonna see a lot of drop shot, a lot of that kind of stuff in his face, and they'll get kind of educated now.
Yep.
Do they remember that into next year? Right? I mean, they don't have a really big brain. You have a hard time
Zach,
believing that. But
Contact your DNR buddies. Tell them to start doing some testing on that stuff. How do you even start? I don't know.
But the salmon thing makes you think about it, right?
Yeah.
Like a whitetail learns,
Yep.
deer learn.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Why wouldn't the fish learn?
Well, the way that I look at it is how do you explain the fact that a bird that's born in Wisconsin knows just where to go, where all the other birds of that species from all over the country?
Is that like jump off a
Shouldn't have the
bridge
same
type
place.
thing? Like, hey, everybody else is doing it, I might as well do it. But that's a different thing. How does it?
How does a monarch get back to Mexico? Like really? Like what?
They got such little wings.
Yeah. They go all the way.
right? Like
And then they come back.
right. They all go back to Mexico, right?
Yeah.
Like
They
wherever
go all the way down
Right.
to Mexico and then come
Right.
back. It's pretty
Man,
crazy.
we are on a topic that.
Well, no, we were just talking about fish
Yeah,
being
it's just-
smart. I don't. You know, it makes you think. You don't.
Yeah.
You know, the salmon thing's always been the one to me because they only live for 4 years.
Yep.
So how does that get genetically passed through into their eggs, just like the stream they respond in? There's a naturally spawning salmon. They'll go back to that same
do.
stream in 4 years. They don't go back there in year 3, Matt. They go back there in year 4
years, yeah.
Right.
to the exact same stream that they were spawned in. Like, it's got to get passed along. So why couldn't some of this fishing stuff get passed along?
Nick Rainier wants to know, and I think you kind of mentioned that a little bit. Did anyone else fish around you up there?
I did not see another boat. I've seen boats go by, but nobody else fished around me.
That's gotta
all.
feel
That's
pretty
the
good.
best feeling ever.
Yeah. kind of like you get your camo on.
Well, you
I'm
don't
just an
have to-
everyday fisherman
Well,
up
the
here.
big thing is when you're fishing for 5 big bites, where this is different than MLF. We've talked about that a lot.
Yep.
Here. You're fishing for 5 big bites. That school might only have those 5, maybe 6, 7 fish in it.
Right, especially if you're not seeing. I mean, I know you're making
but
long
you
casts.
need every one of those fish. You can't have somebody else in there taking that fish, or you don't catch it. Like,
That's right.
right. I mean,
That
that's
can come back and hurt you.
Well, and we found out like on the very first Wisco where guys actually shared a spot. I mean, up there's a lot of water. You hope you don't have to share a spot, but
well, and it happens,
and
right?
if that school is
But-
so limited,
it definitely ups your odds big time if you're not competing with anybody else.
Yes, that's true.
You know what I mean? It ups your odds huge.
Yeah.
You're not having to compete.
yeah, I see Brandon just joined. So good morning to everybody that's joining in. Again, we're joined with Gary, the second Wisco Bass winner. Brought it also home with the big bass as well. We just covered that topic. That was a 6.5 pounder.
Yes.
Nice. That's awesome. So now we're in line. I didn't see the weigh in. I mean, where were you at in line? And I mean, were you one of the middle run guys?
I was one of the middle guys. I believe 23 pounds was leading it when I weighed in.
Okay.
And then obviously I weighed what I weighed, and then it sat there for a long time until Travis came in, and I looking at his fish in the bag, I'm like, God, he looks like he's got a good bag of fish there, and he did. I mean, I only beat him by a pound.
Right.
So and I'm sure he caught him on the bed. So going in, I didn't think bed fishing would win it, but I'll tell you what, he came very close. And Travis is a good fisherman. I've known
Right.
Travis for years, and he spent some time up there during the week.
Well, in spite of him struggling, from what we understood too, he said he had a couple of tricks up his sleeve, just like it sounds like you did, and that it just goes right down to experience.
Mm-hmm.
Can your boat do it, and can you are you willing to do it as well?
He told me
Right.
going in he had 70 fish marked. 70 beds marked, he told me.
Yeah, I
And he
see.
probably fished every one of them.
I seen him on Saturday in the flats with his flogger hanging over the boat in 12 feet of water, watching fish.
Yep.
So that flock, that's the cone thing.
That's
that
the
people,
cone thing. Yes.
Is that really only for Smalley World? Is that only when you bring that thing out?
Yeah, typically largemouth don't bed that deep.
Yep.
They're typically
You can see 'em as
6 feet. You can usually see them with your eyes.
Right.
But smallies, they'll bed as deep as 25 feet of water.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that. Education right away. You never want to share your spot, no matter where you are. So that's what Nick said.
You can't. I mean, it's hard enough to beat the fish. When you got to beat the fish plus the other guy you're fishing against, that's not easy to do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So now we're going and we're the thought process.
Brandon. Oh, by the way, Brandon says great job on the win,
Thank you, Brandon.
and he's coming for you. No, he didn't say that. I just said that.
We said that for him.
Hey, it's still early. It's still anybody's game as far as angler of the year. It just boils down to being consistent.
Yep.
I've learned that over the years. I
Yep.
mean, you don't have to win any of them, but if you're in all of them,
Yep.
at the end of the year, you'll be right there with a chance to take the angler of the year.
So 20 plus years of experience in the tournament world. How are you feeling about the Wisco, the atmosphere and everything like that?
I love it. I love it. I was telling him earlier about I'm fishing the Bassmaster Opens this year also, and I'm also doing very competitive in there. I'm actually 11th in the angler of the year race in
Oh, wow, awesome.
in that.
Yep.
So, but what we have this year is we got a long lull between Smith Lake, which was in first week of April, and the Mississippi River and La Crosse, which is in August.
Oh wow! No.
So this is going to keep me on top of my game all summer.
Yep.
I mean, the competition that's now in this Wisco is not much different than the competition.
And they're doing a really
that's in
good
the
job
Bassmaster
of getting
Opens.
boats into them. I mean, we had 58 boats going into this one. Now, I was wondering about that as I was looking at the standings. Did all 58 fish? Or because I was looking at, was it 54?
Oh, the zeros are guys that just didn't catch
Okay.
anything. Sorry.
There's quite a bit of zeros too, but
It happens, man.
it happens. I mean, like you said, you're battling
the
the
big
fish.
thing with some of those guys, I don't know many of those guys. I know a couple of them. If you're not used to the bay, you're not used to big water, you come around that corner 6-footers.
It's intimidating.
It scares the shit out of you.
It does.
It really does, because it's the same thing. They know. You go in, I make the wrong move, I spear a wave, which is basically nose into wave,
Yep.
water everywhere, flooded situations, bad. You get seconds, and you're toast.
Kyle Weston says Gary is the man. So we got some fan clubs, so we appreciate all the comments and everybody joining us right away this morning.
Thank you, Kyle.
So we're feeling good right now. We're leading the Angler of the Year. We're chasing that TRS sponsorship, which is awesome. I mean, we're excited to a good guy like you, a good guy like any of the guys in the series. We want We want that to happen for everybody. Now we go look at the Green Lake thing. I mean, when do you start kind of what are the rules again? Can you how far
You can fish whenever you want.
You can fish it whenever you want.
Yep.
When do you start turning that on?
I'll be out there this Sunday looking at things. There's a tournament out this weekend, so I don't want to mess anybody up, but I will be out there looking. I won't be fishing.
Do you pay attention pretty closely to that tournament and see what?
I'll be at the weigh-in to see what kind of weights are brought in.
Yep.
I believe things will change over that week. I'm sure they're still on the beds. They're spawning.
Yep.
And it'll probably change because we're in for some nice weather this coming up week. But I have had some success on Big Green before, so I know where to look for the fish.
Yep.
I just want to see where they're at and as far as the spawn and know what to expect. And then I'll be out there the following Saturday.
Yep.
I'll actually be fishing, getting ready for Sunday.
Now, a lake like that's multi-species as far as bass.
It's both, yep.
Yep. What do you do as far as, I mean, if you cruise around the shallows and you're not seeing largies, do you automatically start targeting the smallie bite, or how does that work for a situation like that?
I'm a smallmouth fisherman.
Okay.
I'm going to go after the smallmouth. That's what I'm going to do.
Yep.
I know the lake good enough to where I think I can find them. If they're on the beds, great. They'll be easier to catch because there are some big fish in that lake. If they're not on the beds, they're not going to be far from where they were on beds, and I'll be able to target them that way.
Nice. I'm excited.
It's going to actually be a real shootout.
It should
And
be.
for us, from a media standpoint, I'm excited because it's easy to get around that whole lake. You know what I mean? It's not.
It is.
It's not Winnebago trying to film on Winnebago or the Bay, where
Right.
guys could be 60 miles apart.
Well, and in the same, there's no secrets out there as well, right? I mean, you can that lake is big, but you can also make it across it in a short time with a nice boat.
I'll probably end up doing about 10 laps in that thing with
With the
guys,
film group, yeah. Chris said that he knew he was in the wrong spot when he didn't see Gary. So that means people pay attention. I mean, you definitely got a little bit of a target now, especially.
Yeah, a little bit. I do have to be careful out there sometimes. I mean, people know who I am, and
Yep.
they pay attention.
They pay attention. They know how successful you can be and everything like that. So, well, that's pretty cool. I mean, I love everything that's going on with it, and it's really. Brian warned me of it. He goes, once you start seeing these tournament things, you're gonna want to be a part of it.
Well, because you're a competitive guy.
Yep.
And once you get old, like we're getting older, there's not so much competitive stuff you can do, right? Playing sports hurts. You know.
Yes.
Well, it sounds like if you're pounding on 6-foot waves too, that can take a toll.
I'm still feeling it.
Oh man.
I am. Yep. I'm still feeling it.
Right. Do you do a lot of just recreational fishing in between then? Or are you so focused on tournament stuff that
I'm always getting ready for the next one.
you're always and you're coming from the Green Bay area, so you're not far from the big water like that. You can go out there whenever you want.
Yeah. And in fact, Travis and I fished a Thursday nighter the week before out of the Fox River, and I think we had 17 pounds and 3 fish.
You fished with him?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Him and I, we teamed up. Yeah. So yeah, I'm even hitting the little things during the week, and I'm just trying to stay on top of my game.
Do you fish a lot of other tournaments, like local ones?
I used to fish a lot of local stuff, not so much anymore.
No, you're just
my job doesn't allow me to do that because I'm on the road so much.
Yep.
I do take my boat wherever I go.
Really?
So I do get to fish a lot of places all over the country, which has also helped me.
Wow, that's pretty
So
cool.
typically I work a 5-10 week, and I hit the weekends. I hit the local lakes.
Wow, that's awesome.
So I get to fish all over.
All over the place.
Well, that helps too.
It does.
That definitely helps.
Well, it's just
Because no matter where you go in the country fishing, they all do it a little differently.
right.
Right? Everyone's got different color, different scheme, different whatever, and it all helps
It does.
add two things. Because typically those things work all over the place. It's just maybe you didn't think about it, or different color patterns or whatever.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, are there some tactics that people do that you brought back here and found to be really, really successul?
Yes.
I mean,
Absolutely.
What's that umbrella bait that the Alabama
umbrella
rig?
rig, yeah.
That don't work.
Is that a wink wink that don't work? or
That's a wink wink.
don't try that bait. Well, excuse me. Man, I'm so pumped up for this Green Lake one. I can't wait to get
It
out
should
there.
be pretty awesome.
It'll be a good.
And I'm excited. Like, I missed the filming part
Well,
of it all.
I think this last weekend, when was it? Thursday, they had a club tournament on green, and I thought it was 25 or 26 to win it.
I don't doubt that at all.
I think it was. I mean, the smallies were up in, whatever, but I think it was 25 or 26 to win it.
Is that what you were finding?
What?
When
Well,
you
that's
fish
what.
it?
If I would have had pushing 25 when I was there that day.
Okay. And, so, and that was just all smallies?
Mm-hmm.
There are some giant smallies in that lake. It'll give the bay the run for
Oh.
the size-wise, not the quantity.
Not the quantity you
That's
want.
literally my favorite lake to fish. I love that lake.
Well, it's nice for a lot of
clear,
us. It's
It's
clear.
got big fish, and I mean, just everything in there is big.
Well, a lot of different species. You never
Yep.
know what cast what you're
Well, and
going
I'm
to pull
pretty sure
in.
it's got that Cisco base in there,
It-
which
it
is where you
does.
get your big fishes from the Cisco.
Yep.
Okay.
So they got more grease in them than other base
And,
fish.
and,
So.
and another thing about Big Green is you can't overlook the largemouth in there. There are some giant largemouth.
Oh yeah.
What do you
we know a guy like Colin Martin. He's like, thank God I get to go catch greenfish. And it's funny, like you're a smallmouth guy. He's like,
He's a
those-
largy guy.
I hate those fish.
He even said that. He stopped into the shop before the tournament last weekend, and he goes, I just got to get through a couple of these smallie tournaments. This is the main one. Let me get the flipping stick back in my hand, start pounding on some brush and things like that, and get them greenbacks up there. So, I mean, just some of the local lakes out by me, I was seeing some fish on beds. Now, they weren't big fish. I mean, they're your cookie cutters, pounders, or so on and so forth. So, I mean, but as a wading guy, when I walked in the water, it was pretty chilly. I don't have the temperature rigs and all that kind of stuff, so I couldn't tell you exactly what it was. But a big clear lake like that, I mean, what do you think water temps are sitting right there?
They were last week. They were 50, 53, I think.
Did you get rain last night?
Yeah, oh yeah, it rained hard last night.
So that's going to play effect too, right?
Oh yeah. Well, and see, Big Green's 200 feet deep.
Yep.
Yes,
So if
sir.
we
So that
get,
water's
if we get
naturally
some
cold.
Wind.
I mean, it's cold down there all the time. So same thing that happened on the bay. If we get some real strong, how's that lake set up? Kind of like northeast-ish,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
So if we get any of that northeast southwest winds, a lot like the bay, it'll blow right down that whole lake and cool it right off.
Cool it right
too.
off and
Yep.
then push them fish back out a little bit
Yep,
deeper.
it can do the same thing. Cause that lake's deep and cold. I mean, it doesn't warm up 200 feet down ever.
No.
You know what I mean?
No. Yeah.
So it'll be awesome. That's gonna be a fun one. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, me too.
Zach, you pretty stoked for the Green Lake one?
Oh, I'm super stoked. I'm excited to have the media back.
You know what the problem is we're talking about all these big fish, and he's into microfishing.
So-
There's no microfishing in Big Green.
Well,
There probably is,
and
but not much.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I think, the Wisco fans are excited for it, and we're definitely excited to get back on the boats. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
that the national anthem in the morning, the engines running, the smell of, the feel in the air, it just
As long as I've been doing this, I still get chills when that happens.
the butterflies kick
They
in.
kick in.
Oh man.
That's why I do this. I mean, I'm a competitive person, and the chills and it just excites me.
You're not the guy with the boat that goes 90, are you?
No, sir.
That's
who is-
Greg Klug.
Oh, okay.
You want to get in that one?
No.
Are you sure?
I don't.
Yeah,
I
you
don't.
sure?
Especially like in the conditions that you guys just came from. On
Well, he wasn't doing that in those.
No, I know that. I know that. But when Jared and I came across the lake on Bagel, I'll still go back to it. I mean, it was a little rough ride, and there was only like maybe 2 footers out there. So I don't know. I just keep hearing about this 90-mile-per-hour boat, and let's go fast.
It goes fast.
It's got to be flat calm for him to run that boat 90 miles an hour.
Right. Well, how fast does your boat go then?
70, 71.
What are you running, a Skeeter, obviously?
Yeah, 21 footer.
Nice.
Nice.
Nate says, actually, this is a really good point. He says, don't forget about all the pleasure boats on Big Green. So on is that something that you take into account a little bit? After 10 o'clock, it's busy.
wake time out
yes,
there.
Yes. You do have to take that into consideration, and it can be a problem on Big Green.
So you got to go for your fish right away in the morning before that happens,
Especially
right?
your shallow ones.
Yes.
If you got, there's a lot of boat traffic on Green.
It's a silly question. I like to state that a lot, but I mean, do them fish really push right off the beds when they get that much pound and wake on the shorelines?
If it's a real shallow and it's affecting them, yes. If they're down 5-6 feet, I don't think it's gonna. If they're on the bed, that's not going to affect them.
Well, and that was
It's going to make it hard to see them, but it's
correct.
but
They still got to hang around there. I mean, otherwise it's just a smorgasbord for every other fish on the water.
Correct.
Now, when you were back in the Sturgeon Bay thing, I mean, the waves were they pretty big in that bay as well, or not as bad?
Where I was, the way the shoreline runs, it was actually. I was in tight enough to where it actually knocked the waves down a bit. I mean, it wasn't calm,
Yep.
but it was fishable.
I just wonder if making long casts like that, did you miss any fish?
Not that I know of.
Not that you know of?
Because I used the Power Pro line and the fluorocarbon line,
Yep.
and I use a real sensitive rod. I pretty much feel everything.
You feel the bottom, feel the sand,
Yes.
and each granule and all that kind of good stuff.
Yes.
Now, is there any sponsors that you want to call out in that kind of, thank your sponsors?
Skeeter Yamaha, obviously. Anchor Marine over here in Appleton. They take care of me over there.
Yep.
Rick and Greg and his son Eric, they're good mechanics. They're good people over there.
Yep.
If anybody's out there looking for a boat, go see them. They'll take care of you. And they're the top-notch mechanics over there as far as Yamaha and Makota.
Well, and that's huge. I mean, if you ever have any issues with that kind of stuff, you got to have a good boat mechanic to go to.
Yes.
Do you do any kind of maintenance on that stuff on your own?
I mean, I go over my boat. I make sure everything stays tight. But as far as when it comes to engine work and stuff like that,
Those things, if you take the lid off of those
It's a-
new outboards, well, number one, you can't even look at it without a computer.
Right.
They have computers that
Oh,
plug in
really?
and tell all the diagnostics.
Just like your car nowadays.
Pretty much. And
Yep.
then, I don't know about the Yamahas, but like on my Merc, where you've got to have special tools just to get in there to get
Get
the
in.
plugs out and stuff.
You do, yes. I run a 4-stroke, so I don't mess with it.
No. It's just smarter that way.
Yeah.
Those guys are professionals at it for a reason. Let them do that kind of stuff.
Yep, and I've been running Yamahas for probably 10 years now, and knock on wood, I haven't had a serious issue yet.
Good. Good. Well, you don't want to have to worry about it. You want to trust in your equipment.
Right.
And it sounds like that's doing it for you and everything like that. So, well, Nathan, yeah, you still commented on the pleasure boaters and all that kind of stuff. And the nicer the weather is, there's going to be a lot more of that going out there.
Yeah, I think the perfect tournament day on Big Green would be overcast, super cloudy, rain. Keep all those people on shore.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Right. I'm personally hoping they're off the beds and they're offshore again. I think that's where I'll do better.
Yep.
Because if they're on beds, everybody will be fishing the same way. So.
Well, and you really got to key on your electronics then when you're off the shorelines like that.
Yes.
I mean, you got to be able to see those fish. I was watching the MLF yesterday, and those guys were like vertical jigging like they were for walleyes. I mean, they were casting, and their eyes were peeled right to their electronics in the front of the boat, and they were drifting right over the top. So one of the guys said that
They fishing those trees.
I think
didn't
there's
get to
fishing.
watch it.
Yeah, they were fishing. I think they were fishing submerged structure or way off of points. But he even made the comment that he goes, "I'm making long casts for right now, and watching it must be a side imaging." Watching that kind of stuff, and then he goes, before I go to the next spot, though, then he goes, I'll push up on that spot and then use the down imaging to see if there is any fish that he can just drop shot right on or, drop a bait right on top of, because they might be tight-lipped in that kind of situation. So I would imagine that if we get the beautiful weather, like you said, we're running in. I haven't checked the 10-day or the 5-day. Are we looking at some beautiful
It's 80s
weather?
the rest of the week here.
Yeah, it's going to be real warm.
And then
this week.
so then who knows what's going to happen next week?
It's too far out.
Too far out, right? But then, so the electronics are going to play a huge game. So, I mean, anybody that doesn't have a good investment in that kind of thing, too, is going to already be behind the 8 ball.
That is correct.
See, I'm getting smarter at this.
So you're figuring it
I'm
out.
figuring it
I
out.
told you.
I'm figuring it out.
I told you.
Just watching it and learning and listening and all this kind of stuff. I mean, I was using a creature bait. I've never fished one of those before in my life, and I was having a blast doing it this weekend.
Well, see, a lot of those lakes you're fishing are totally untapped. They don't get fished hard. I mean, they do maybe bluegills and that stuff, but
panfish,
nobody's
and all
out there
that kind of
bass fishing
stuff.
them.
I know.
Not like this.
I'm waiting for you to bring your big boat out there. Let's go
Let's do
catch
it.
some fish.
Let's do it. I'm in.
Zach, what's going on back there?
Not a whole lot.
You got any
Just taking
questions?
in.
You were up there, Zach.
Yeah, I was up there. Well, I know I had asked this before we went live, but did you lose any equipment during the?
I did not.
Okay.
I
Oh, is that something that happened?
Yeah, there was a
Yes.
lot of electronics falling in the water, lots
Bomb
of
outs
power
probably.
poles,
power poles,
getting cut off.
talons
Just coming right off.
coming off.
So we weren't the only
breaking.
ones who had a bad day.
Are you serious? Like
Yes.
lost
Oh, it's-
forever?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's bad. It can get bad, dude. Like 6-footers are no joke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, in a situation like that, it ain't like a bolt's popping out. Is that ripping out of the?
Well, a lot of times if the power pole breaks, I mean, there's a pretty heavy bracket on your jack plate, and there's 4 bolts hanging it on. If those shear, it's just
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you look at my boat, you can tell it's set up for the Bay of Green Bay.
Right.
My trolling motor's got a ram mount on it. Everything I've got is cinched down with big hardware.
I didn't know that. You didn't
Yeah.
tell me that. Guys were losing stuff
Yeah.
forever and ever. Like it's gone off their boat.
oh
and
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Forever and
sinking
ever and
in
ever.
the bottom of Sturgeon Bay.
Yep.
I mean, is that insurance?
See, when I was a lot younger fishing tournaments, I used to break a lot of shit. Now I realize that it's really expensive to fix that stuff, so now I just go slower.
And I do too because my body just can't take it anymore.
Well, I don't want to spend you know what I mean? You drop your $5,000 unit in the lake.
Right.
Adios.
I bet. Oh,
taking
no.
a swim.
I mean, and you can. I mean, that water's so clear at some of those spots. Can you drive over and see
Well,
that stuff?
No, well, like let's say for Gary, for instance, if he's leaving from Little Sturgeon going up the bay, if he's taking the most direct route, which is a straight line, get out around Snake Island, it's 80 feet of water. You get out off of Larson's Reef, it's 150, 200. I've spent a lot of time on the bay.
Right.
150, 200 feet of water, you ain't finding it. It's just bye-bye.
I didn't even. I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
just dumbfounded right
Oh,
now.
yeah, it's huge. That place is a big
You
place.
got to win then.
Yeah, like I said to you though yesterday, it sounded like it was a pretty cool experience for these guys to experience. You're going out there on a mission with these big waves, and the guys that took the chance to take them on. I mean, one of the guys live streamed for like 10 seconds out there, and his boat is literally going vertical.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, oh, wow.
I don't know how I could have handled that one.
I've had, over the years, back when I used to walleye fish, I had a lot of people, oh, it's such a great job, because walleye fishing's always out in the big open.
always
Right, right,
You're
right.
never in
right.
the back cove or whatever. You're out there, right, chasing those big fish. Everyone's like, oh, you got a great deal. When can I come along? Until they, hey, here's me and my 5-footers for the next 6 hours. They don't like that. It's no joke.
That is amazing. I mean, is that an insurance claim though? Is that how that works on that kind of stuff?
I don't know if you went out there on your own discretion, and I don't know how insurance company would handle that.
Yeah, I don't either. Depends on what you tell them, probably.
Our one of our bull reps here, our Hoyt rep, says I'll be signed up for scuba classes by next week. I mean, think about the electronics and stuff that are down
Your
there.
lakes would be fun to scuba dive.
Oh yeah,
You'd learn a lot.
and I think a little off topic. I think some of those lakes up by me you can spear gun
Oh, really?
Oh wow!
See, I know Big Green's actually a big
for
scuba diving
panfish
lake.
only.
Yes.
Huh.
Double
You can
check your
spear
rules and
gun panfish?
double check the rules and regulations, but
I mean, let's
think
do it.
I think you can spear gun out
Let's
there.
do it. I want to get certified for scuba.
Yes, your insurance should handle
Hey,
that.
speaking of
Our
Tony
insurance
Malika, if you're not
professional.
familiar with who he is, our insurance professional said yes, your insurance.
Nice.
Do you? I mean, does that cover Tony? Does that cover front to back on your boat then, and everything included, just like it would your house? I would
He
imagine.
just says if you have the right policy. That's the kicker. Got to have the right
Gotta have
insurance.
the
Oh,
Guys
seriously.
that are-
comprehensive coverage.
Guys that are not sure, go talk to Tony Malika. He'll make sure the next time you go to Sturgeon Bay, your boat's insured fully. So when you're dropping $30,000 of stuff at the bottom of the water. Well, I know like how frustrated Kyle was on the Bago tournament for Wisco with his stuff not working. Now that was just an electrical flaw or whatever like that.
Right.
But I couldn't imagine. And if you're going out in the morning, you don't have that.
Right.
I mean, on Sturgeon Bay, how useful are power poles? Can they go down that far
Well,
depending
it
on what?
depends where you are.
If typically this time of year they're real helpful because most guys are fishing shallow.
Okay. Did you utilize equipment like that for?
I didn't. I got an Ultrex. I got upwind of it, hit the Ultrex, fished out of the back of the boat.
Spot lock is probably the biggest game changer in
It
fishing.
is.
That's
No.
exactly what MLF said yesterday.
It is. Now, supposedly Lawrence is coming out with a bow mount. Some of those pro guys have it already. Lawrence is coming out with one. Garmin's coming out with one. And I think all these new bow mounts in the next 5 years are all going to have this GPS locking. Who knows what else they're going to come out with. I don't know. But it is the biggest game changer in fishing, period.
Well, especially in a singles atmosphere because you hit that spot lock and you have to rig up. You got to, get a fish off or anything like that.
Oh.
They said it's like having that second man in the boat, but
Well, if you've ever, growing up, you anchor, right? That's just what we did.
That's what we did.
There is no bigger pain in the ass than anchoring a boat. And especially, maybe if you're just fishing a weed flat or something, you don't care.
Right.
But if you're trying to fish this specific corner of this cane bed or this weed bed, trying to get with the wind, get your boat set up right so that your stinking floats would go where you want. I mean, that's a pain.
It is.
This is not an issue anymore. Between power poles or talons and spot lock, it is an absolute game changer.
It really is.
I'm just trying to read the comments here. Well, especially with an anchor line, I mean, look how many times you run the risk of losing a fish, too.
Pumpkinhead.
That's Kyle.
Oh, okay.
Oh, is it?
Him and I got a little thing going.
All right. I figured it was him. I'm like, I don't know what that is, but hey, whatever works.
Is that like a pet name or something? I don't. Yeah, Nick says
I
that.
don't think I want to know.
Yeah, Tony. We're back on the insurance thing. Tony commented that cheapest is not the best when it comes to boats. We all know that because boat
Boats
stands
aren't
for
cheap.
You're right. Well, it busts out another 1,000, right? That's what the word for boat is. And then Nick Rainier says, renter's insurance will cover rods and reels, anything else not permanently attached to your boat. Theft or loss, rods bounced off the dock or the deck. So I just can't imagine, because that stuff's not cheap to begin with.
Yeah.
It's not.
And if you're going out in the morning, like I was trying to say, and now you have, what do you do? If you got to have the spot locked then, right?
Well, it wrecks your whole day if you start losing stuff.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I
Takes
mean,
your
first
head-
of all, now you're dejected because you're like, holy man, just dropped off. I don't even know what those things cost. Now you got to go up and try to fish, confidently the rest of the day when you're already behind the 8 ball. You pretty much thinking at that point you got to win. I got to win
They'll pay
this one.
for
And
it.
I got to win this one, and I got to win every single
Gotta
other
win the
one.
next 4.
The next 4.
Well,
Just-
that's what you're right, but that's why I've always, like we talked to Travis about,
guys want a
if you're in
professional
it,
bass fish.
depending on how you want to go, I mean, the money is not always the best reason to fish these, right? Depending if you can't financially afford to do it, it's
Right.
not cheap,
Right.
right? And that's
Right,
why
right.
I've always went with if it takes me extra 5 minutes to get there, save all my stuff, hopefully that 5 minutes doesn't cost me my spot, but whatever.
That was the philosophy I took leaving Little Sturgeon is I'm just going to take my time.
Yep.
And if I get there, and it took me an hour and 20 minutes, but it paid off. When I got there, the fish were there.
Paid off in a couple different ways.
Well,
a couple of
typically
ways.
if it's rough, you're okay.
Right.
Because most guys won't make the run. When I used to fish walleye tournaments, they were always out of Metro down Green Bay, and I always made the runs north. So just to get to like Larson's Reef was 35 miles, right, or plus. Well, the further you run like that, you
The
don't.
less there are.
It's just every 5 miles you go, there's less and less people willing to make that run. So you got the time. I once made a run to Larson's Reef in 6.5 footers. Took me 3.5 hours from Metro to get there.
On a walleye tournament?
Yeah,
How many hours did you have total to fish
Like
that day?
2.
Did it pan out?
Oh yeah, I won. But they were there. I mean,
well,
I,
it's like Gary
Just,
said.
just had to get there.
I knew
you-
if I
you
got
threw-
there, it was
you were
over.
all in.
Yeah, I knew if I actually had a camera lady in my boat for that tournament, and she's like, we're into it, and I'm just driving. She's like, how much longer? I'm like, you don't want to know.
Don't ask. It's like the kids in the back seat. Don't ask.
Like, you
We're
don't
only
wanna
5
know.
minutes closer than we were.
It's
She's throwing up. It's pretty funny on the comments here. We got our
Lot of-
insurance
lot of rental
battle.
stuff going
yeah,
on here.
insurance battle going on. I mean, this is a good time too. If anybody else has got some questions for Gary, these guys are just totally going back and forth on the
no,
insurance.
Nick's gonna have Tony looking his truck policy. Or
Oh,
something.
there you go, Tony.
That's
We'll
awesome.
take a percentage of that commission,
Yep,
Tony.
commission's coming.
Come spend it. He's a big supporter. He usually comes spend it at the Real Shot anyways. So, well, yeah, we're back to Green Lake coming up. That's going to be an exciting one. Then we go then we take a break for a while, just like you were saying,
Yep.
the tournament. You're also fishing. Then we have to wait till August. July's a busy, crazy month. Then we go to Shawano Lake. And we're going to probably go check out Shawano Lake here in the next couple of days to go see what's going on with that, make sure the cell phone coverage and everything like that is good. Do a little bit of fishing ourselves. Hopefully I can get on the water pretty soon with the BK Lounge and test some stuff out.
We should
But
go to Green like soon. These next 2 weeks are gonna be really
Good
there.
fishing.
well, and that's that was my next question: is Sturgeon Bay still going to be good for a while yet? Because as the water warms up further north, it just continuously
you
gets
can,
better
you can
and better.
chase the water temperature north.
And I mean, there's guys
They're
catching.
not gonna spawn up in Washington Island until like August.
Right. And that's why a lot of people like that. I mean, so
Right.
if there's people out there that have never experienced that, you still have plenty of time to get out there, and catch those big smallies. And I heard it's just like an aquarium at times up there.
It can be. I mean,
Just-
they'll come in hundreds. On a flat, calm day, you can see in the water, and there'll be hundreds of them just pushing in. This one.
It's just a tease right now. I wanted so bad. Let's go, Brian.
Well, we could go. Let's go.
Right
we
now?
should go Thursday. I just make sure I got what.
I got baseball Thursday night. We got to be back by a certain time.
See, this is this family stuff, man. I don't know.
Yeah. Thanks for
All
reminding
right,
me.
We'll talk.
Let's talk.
We'll talk.
Zach, any other questions going on here?
No, not really.
I mean,
So
what?
I was just gonna ask. So, Big Green, not without giving anything away. What do you think like the top 5 presentations are gonna be like as a whole?
Oh, good question.
That's a good question. Jigs, probably an A-rig. Drop shots plays there also. Some guys like the crank.
Is a jerkbait a good lure or a hard bait out
I
there?
know early on it is.
That's why I caught him on last week.
Early on it is when the
jerkbaits.
water, that pre-spawn bite,
With the spring that we're having, though, it might still play in, right?
it could. The next 2 weeks, next 2 weeks of weather will tell you that.
What I've learned is I haven't been bass fishing very long, but what I've learned that jerkbait's all water temp related.
Right.
That's what I've learned.
Because it's got to be an active bite, right?
It's got to be 50 to 55.
For me, it's 45 to 55.
Okay.
Yep.
That's what I've learned. Like I said, I'm still learning this game, but that's what I've figured out.
And is that because is it a reaction bite, or they got to be super active, or is this because that pause is what triggers the bite when it's in their face?
A lot of it's reaction. I mean, that snap of that bait, it triggers them.
Yep.
And that water temperature is warming up just a little bit, and they want to feed, and they're going to chase it.
They're gonna go right for
It's
it.
so much. It's almost my favorite way to fish now.
It is.
It's so much fun.
It used to be my favorite all time. You always saw a jerk bait in my hand, but I've learned a few other techniques since then.
You went a little more finesse route, maybe,
yes,
or
yes.
That's my favorite way of fishing. And is what about the up in the Sturgeon Bay or even Green Lake? Is the riser bait, the spy bait?
The spy bait.
Spy baits will play. I've caught a lot of fish at green on spy baits.
I have caught them on spy baits also on green.
Now that's a real slow presentation, though, just like
Painful.
just like a marabou jig or something like that, or even a tube like you were talking up on Sturgeon Bay. You're just basically waiting for a fish to pass by it.
You just cast it, let it sink down to whatever depth you think they're at, and you're just slowly reeling it.
Slow.
It's painful.
It is.
But it gets bites that other baits
yeah.
won't get.
Correct.
I think it works really well on pressured fish.
Yes.
Because it's just not, there's no aggression to it. The fish doesn't get spooky. It makes no noise, so they're not getting, you know what I mean? If everyone's throwing rattle traps or loud baits, this thing just comes through the water totally silent. Doesn't freak them out at all. It's pretty.
Well, and it sits there a lot longer. They can think about it a little bit more and decide if that's what they want to eat or
Right.
not. Top 5 baits. I like that one. That was a good question there.
Thanks.
Yep.
I'm excited for that.
My allergy meds must be starting to kick in. I can think straight.
Zach, what was the
It's killing me. Allergies has been killing me.
what was your thoughts on it up there in Sturgeon Bay? I know we had a slight malfunction with computers and whatnot, but I mean, what was your thought on the atmosphere up there?
I thought it was cool. There was a little bit bigger crowd than when we were at Winnebago.
Oh, good.
There's a good mix of people watching. I think there was more people though who zeroed out, so there was some disappointment coming from the anglers at the weigh-in, which I mean you'll have that. But as far as the overall reception, besides losing some gear and whatnot, everyone who was up there running through the ranks was having a great time. So just getting to observe that, I think that was really sweet.
Were there are a lot of guys jacked for the next one?
Oh yeah.
Because you were saying a lot of guys that were fishing that one are definitely in for green. I mean, now you got to be in it to win it. Now at this point, I mean, there's really no point in backing
What do they
down.
have? 46 or something
Yes,
right now for green.
They're mid 40s.
With the whole week, right now registration closes this Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
But they've done really well these in the last 2 tournaments. The last week they've picked up a lot of boats, so.
guys.
I'd be surprised if there wasn't at least mid 50s for this tournament.
Good.
When I still have not heard a negative thing about this tournament circuit. Right? Now we're sort of a part of it, but we don't have anything to do with the running of it.
It's purely those two guys.
Kyle and Brent. I haven't heard a negative thing from anybody. No. They all love the format. They love the weigh-in process. They run it super smooth, clean, easy, efficient weigh-in. Takeoffs are awesome. Great, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So.
And then did look like the stage format changed a little bit as
47 as of right now.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
What did the stage format change a little bit too? They had a even bigger banner. I didn't think that was possible. It looked like in the background.
Yep. Yeah, they had everything moved into more of a directional line. I think they had twice as many of the tanks.
Tanks, okay.
So that was pretty cool. But yeah, I think the best part about that too was just seeing how jacked everyone was for Green Lake. People they want to fish, and this is just something, especially with the media being back for Green Lake. I think that's gonna be a huge kicker for people. I think we set a precedent with the first one. We couldn't control the second one, but now the third one, I mean, we're back, and it's gonna be go time.
The other thing too is the buzz is happening now because MLF is coming to town quick.
Right.
I mean, these guys are right there chasing that kind of dream.
The best school of MLF fish ever yesterday on Bago.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I caught 30 pound-and-a-half to 2 pounders in like 25 minutes.
Nice.
It was as fast as I could get my bait back in the water.
Okay, so your guys, 20 years tournament fishing, Big Five. What's your thoughts on the MLF format? Have you watched quite a bit of it, or?
I don't watch a lot of it. I'm still stuck in. I like the Big Five.
You're a Big Five guy?
I am.
Yep.
I like both. I like both. I think it's really super fun to fish the Big Five. I think that all the other things with the score trackers and stuff, the MLF, I think it would be a riot to do it. Like yesterday, I was kind of in that mindset just because they're coming to Winnebago.
Yep.
And I only had a certain amount of time because the high school sectional baseball was in Winnebago, so I had to go work the fields and whatever yesterday, right?
Yep.
So I only had like 3 hours to fish. I'm like, how many fish am I going to catch in 3 hours? I didn't go for size. I'm like, I know a couple spots. I want to see how many fish I can catch in 3 hours. And it's just, I don't know how they, like when that, like Jacob Wheeler in the, like one of the early rounds, he had like 88 fish for whatever. I mean,
And they were on him pretty good yesterday.
but I don't know how
too.
you even go through that many fish. Like the efficiency that those guys are moving at, catch a fish, rebait it, get in the water, weigh it. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yep.
And I was by myself yesterday just kind of thinking about that. I'm like, it does add a little different element to tournaments.
To it.
Sure.
Yep.
I don't think it's good or bad. I think there was a lot of that when that circuit started. It was, oh, this sucks, or it's not the big. I just think it's different. I don't think it's one's better than the other. It's just different.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with you. It's kind of addicting.
And it's entertaining to watch it, right? Nothing
Yep.
against watching you fish for 5 big fish all day, but then it's kind of boring, right? Where guys just cranking on them. At least it's something
Yep.
to watch, you know. I don't
Now,
know.
on the flip side of that, though, with the Big 5 aspect, I like the call portion of it all.
Okay.
I don't know. It's because I don't. And it's pretty simple. This fish is bigger than that fish. This one hits the water next, but all like that. But I mean, you think you got a good limit, and bam, now you hook into that. You know, now you have a 6.3 in a boat. Now you hook into a 6.5. Toss that fish back in, and let's keep rolling on. You know, that part I think is really, really cool. But I like the guys. I like them just seeing hook set. I mean, that's what everybody goes out there. Everybody watches NASCAR to.
I like all of it. I watch all of it. I
Yep.
watch Bass. I watch FLW if I'm home. I watch MLF. I like all of it.
Right.
I don't really care. It's awesome.
So, let's say you're the winner of Angler of the Year. You win the sponsorship. Are you coming back to Wisco, or do you have aspirations to fish bigger and better things coming up?
He's already fishing the opens, man.
Yeah.
Oh, is he? Is
Yeah, he
that?
said
I
it
missed that
before. He's
point.
already
No,
fishing
I
the
know,
opens
I know,
this
but
year.
I mean,
I'm hoping at the end of this year I'll be qualifying for the elites.
okay.
And if I do make the elites, I will give it a shot. It's always been my dream to get to the Bassmaster Classic.
There it is.
I fished the Bass Nation for a number of years. I've come so close to going to the Classic through that route. It never got there. About 4 years ago, I won our state championship on the cross. And then I went to Minnesota and I fished Lake Vermilion. I won the Northern Divisional Championship.
Oh man.
I went to Louisiana to fish the National Championship. I led the first day. I fell back a little bit the second day. And I fell just a little short by ounces going to the Classic.
Ugh.
So I've had
close.
I've had that taste in my mouth
Yep.
for a while now, and it's always been my dream, and I'm going to do what I can to try to get there.
Let's get
Well,
you
and
there.
like we were there this year. Once you get there, I mean, that's it, right?
Well, even just to walk across the stage
Well,
with
that's
a
what I
big
mean.
bag or
Just getting to it is
just getting there. It
it
was awesome
I mean, anybody that's doing this, I mean, that's got to be a dream of theirs. I mean,
at some point, right?
at some point.
absolutely.
Yep, make it and take it all. So, well, cool. We're gonna wrap this one up again. Gary, thank you so much. Congratulations on
Thank
the
you.
win. Best of luck going into Green Lake. We're excited to be there. I couldn't say that enough today. I'm excited to get back in the boat and start filming this kind of stuff. I missed the rush of it. I missed the seeing the guys' reactions to maybe struggling a little bit and then also having some success. So we're excited to bring that to everybody again. And we're going to call this one a day. And then as far as things going on in the store, we have Father's Day promotions coming up. We're going to get that start launched yet this week. So we have some awesome sales coming up for that. We have a really good start on 4th of July type stuff. So that's exciting. And then we're working hard for the MLF that's coming to town to try to at least get a couple fishermen in the store.
We have Ish Monroe already.
Is that the official announcement?
Nice.
Well, it was in writing. I saw it, so I think we can make an announcement. I don't know exactly what day,
Yep.
but Ish will be in the store.
Yep, that is one. We have a couple others, so to say, on the hook, potentially making some time for us. And we're just going to
It
have
sounds
them
like
in.
Ish is willing to be here for a while, too.
Oh, really?
Like, do seminars.
Yeah,
and
we
just
briefly
be here
talked
for a
about
while.
it yesterday. We're just kind of hammering out fine details on that one. So that'll be exciting. And then, a lot of those guys are going to be in store to do some meet and greets type stuff. So we'll keep everybody informed on the details of that coming up. But other than that, it's just kind of day-to-day activities. And then remember, we will be covering the Wisco Bass Series number 3 on Green Lake, which is June 16th. And that would be also Father's Day weekend. So if you're looking for something to get for Dad, make sure to stop down to the Real Shot. Otherwise, tune in to Wisco Bass and see Gary put on a click on that one, too.
I sure hope so.
Well, cool, everybody. Thanks so much for joining in this morning. It's time to get to work. Gary, once again, thank you for making the time to come on in. And
Thanks for having
everybody,
me.
have a great weekend and be safe.